Hi, today I'm going to be presenting my social media analysis and marketing plan for the focus company that I'm working for, which is Hartwood Hall. Here's a map which shows the most popular wedding venues in the Memphis area. Hartwood Hall is located in Rossville, Tennessee, which is home to many of the favored venues in the South. While location is a key connection between the venues, there are a multitude of similarities and also competitive differences. One of the greatest connections is the atmosphere and physical grounds of the properties. Some of them are outdoors and some of them are indoor venues. The average is very close to 50-50. However, there is a large crossover of venues that are indoors and outdoors, which is where Hartwood Hall falls. Along with the atmosphere, specific venues have catering. While this section is much smaller, one of Hartwood Hall's greatest competitive advantages is that it does have its own catering business within its company. This definitely sets the company apart in a way that the majority of venues cannot compare, as it's adding another layer of its all-inclusivity that is unique and also sought after. The inclusion of wedding coordinators is also a common factor when discussing the competitive advantage between companies. The majority of wedding venues that are in competition with Hartwood Hall include some variation of a wedding coordinator. It's just not exactly the same. The things that set Hartwood Hall apart are the lengths that the coordinators go to for the couple. As long as the coordinators at Hartwood Hall continue to do more than the competitor venues are doing, then they're going to be winning. For research purposes, we're going to be focusing on Hartwood Hall, Ainsdale Mansion, and Spring Creek Ranch. These companies are all in the same competitive landscape, yet they all carry themselves very differently online. These seemingly small differences matter as they're all ultimately building their online community and attracting their potential customers. The primary difference is their content is the voice that they use to promote themselves and how they go about doing it. Hartwood Hall's posting on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter is fairly regular. In an average week, they will share 2 to 3 photos of couples, 1 to 2 photos of bridesmaids, and 1 to 2 posts about food. This is the way that they choose to highlight the all-inclusive nature of their venue. One goal of Hartwood Hall is to increase their bookings for weddings and events while raising awareness of the services that they offer. Spring Creek Ranch's posts are more sporadic. Their postings range anywhere from 3 times a week to once every 2 weeks. The lack of consistency in their posting has affected their likes and engagement a lot. Their only focus is highlighting their weddings, as there is very little variety in their posts. While their posts are fairly ununiform, their content is always engaging and interesting to read. Of the 3 companies, Ainsdale Mansion is the leader in engagement. One of the primary differences in Ainsdale Mansion's content is that it's more casual. A sizable percentage of their photos are not professional, but that someone could have taken on their cell phone. They share content on their Instagram feed every day and sometimes twice a day. Similar to Spring Creek Ranch, Ainsdale's posts focus on weddings and booking wedding dates. What sets them apart from the other 2 companies is what they post. Sometimes their content is not professional images, and it kind of makes their brand seem more approachable and engaging. Among the most significant statistics to watch, engagement is one of the highest. Engagement is extremely important because it shows what your audience is thinking about your posts, how they feel you're reaching them as a brand, and what they see as most important with regards to your brand. The statistics show that Hartwood Hall is the lowest brand with regard to engagement. It also shows that Hartwood Hall has a significantly larger amount of posts than Spring Creek Ranch specifically, but also Ainsdale Mansion. As the social media coordinator, this is extremely helpful for me to know. The engagement is telling of how the audience is reacting to the posts and potentially how often the audience is actually seeing the post from Hartwood Hall. Because engagement is one of the most critical parts to watch and maintain while researching social media, the chart above represents the three companies and their progress with regard to engagement on Instagram. Hartwood Hall is currently experiencing the most success with reaching their audience. Their content is being accepted well among their audience, and they're reaching the people within their target audience. Secondly, Ainsdale Mansion is experiencing the second most engagement per Instagram post. While there's not a significant difference, this is an ever fluctuating statistic. Ainsdale Mansion's content is most likely less engaging and interesting to its followers, resulting in a lower score. Spring Creek Ranch's Instagram is the lowest. This low number could be in part due to their lack of content shared over the last 90 days, as it is a good bit less than the other two competitors. Facebook has been used the longest by all three companies, therefore, there's the greatest audience there. While there is a sizable audience, they're not all in the company's target demographic. However, having high engagement on all cross-channel platforms is important in order to have the advantage over competitors. With the cross-channel advantage being a huge factor, Ainsdale Mansion's engagement rate is still the highest among the three competitors. One of the greatest differences between Ainsdale Mansion's Facebook account and the competitors is that they generally post content that's more personal to their couples, which tends to be less polished. While this could appear less professional, their audience has really reacted positively to it, and they seem to appreciate it. Spring Creek Ranch is in the middle range with regard to engagement on Facebook. While their content is fairly frequent, a great percent of their posts is only reposting from other vendors in the area. This does not allow for their audience to engage as much as if their content was original. Also, it does not help create a relationship between their company and their audience, which is an important factor in the wedding industry business specifically. They could increase their engagement number significantly if they were to create original content that was of interest to their viewers. Lastly, Hartwood Hall has the lowest engagement rate on Facebook. Their posts are more clean and professional, which sometimes tends to be less engaging for their followers. Hartwood Hall would benefit from creating more engaging and less polished content to engage with their viewers. This would also begin to create brand loyalty between their business and their target audience, which is huge in this industry. Lastly, Hartwood Hall is the only account in the landscape that frequently uses Twitter as a way to reach their targeted audience. By doing this, they're reaching a new audience that Ainsdale Mansion and Spring Creek Ranch are not. The content that Hartwood Hall shares on their Twitter account is generally similar to the content that they share on Instagram and Facebook. And while sharing the same content across different platforms does not typically prove to work very well, their engagement is impressive for their relatively small following on Twitter. One of the greatest improvements that should be made for Hartwood Hall is the replies. The content that's shared on Twitter is not grasping the reader's attention enough for them to engage, so there are little to no replies when their content is posted. Improving the content to make it more interesting to the targeted audience on Twitter would be a simple way to grow engagement and increase their cross-channel advantage. Because of Hartwood Hall's use of Twitter and their larger number of Facebook fans, they have the largest cross-channel audience. This creates a huge advantage for Hartwood Hall, and it also proves that their quality of content is extremely important. Because they can reach the greatest number of people, there is a responsibility to steward that audience very well. This also gives them the greatest chance to push their overall goal, which is ultimately to book more weddings and reach new couples. The most important channel for Hartwood Hall to capitalize on is Instagram. While maintaining engagement on all channels is important to have the cross-channel advantage, Instagram is the channel that generates the highest level of engagement by follower. Knowing this, Hartwood Hall should focus on the content that's posted on that channel specifically because it has the potential to create the largest impact for the company in achieving its goals. Facebook is the second most active channel, but the majority of that audience is older people who are not in the targeted demographic. There is an urgency to maintain this activity, but because it's not also highly engaging, there's a need to improve the quality. Twitter is the third most active channel by Hartwood Hall, but they're the second most highly engaging channel. This is telling of the usefulness of reaching out on multiple networks and how it has worked in a positive way for Hartwood Hall. Pinterest is the last of the channels that Hartwood Hall operates, and it's also the least successful. Because operating Pinterest is so vastly different from the other three channels, their content needs to be completely original from their other social platforms in order to be completely successful. Hartwood Hall has a great cross-channel advantage over the other venues purely because of how they utilize the many different streams of media to their own advantage. While interning at Hartwood Hall, I plan to help the company's social media in a variety of ways. After analyzing the brand and their primary competitors, Ainsdale Mansion and Spring Creek Ranch, I definitely have a better understanding of what the company needs in order to accomplish and achieve their goals on social media. Hartwood Hall's overarching goal is to reach new couples and book more weddings. While this goal is super big and not very specific, I've settled on a few practical goals that will ultimately help Hartwood Hall achieve success. In later slides, I'll break down the 6-month timeline of how I plan to accomplish these goals. I'm hoping to see accomplishments from each goal at the beginning of every month. The first goal that I want to accomplish while working at Hartwood Hall is to develop and grow brand awareness. This goal is crucial, specifically for wedding venues in the Mid-South area, as the field is very competitive and ever-growing. I will do this by targeting key customers and couples who are already recently engaged and who live in the greater Memphis area. While engaged couples are the primary audience, the segmenting goes way beyond that. Hartwood Hall typically appeals to a very specific demographic profile. Upper middle class, conservative, have college degrees. They might live in the suburbs of Collierville, Germantown, East Memphis, or Arlington. There are these people, but another audience that it would be important to target is the parents of these individuals. This is why Facebook engagement is so important. Knowing these target audiences and tailoring content to appeal to them is crucial to the success of Hartwood Hall. I will check the effectiveness of this plan by the end of May. And I will also judge the effectiveness of this strategy by periodically monitoring the mentions, impressions, reach, website clicks, and following. Speaking of following, the next goal that I have for Hartwood Hall is to increase the following and community size. Increasing Hartwood Hall's following is important for a number of reasons, but one of the most important reasons is because it means that more people are being exposed to their content. Hartwood Hall is a really unique venue, and if more people were to see the content that we shared, they would be more likely to follow and contribute to the community that Hartwood Hall already has. Speaking of community, having a healthy, active community is a crucial part of securing success for Hartwood Hall. If they harvest a sense of community, the people within the community will likely share content and advertise for you, which will make my job even easier. We will focus on growing our community by introducing giveaways periodically, as well as encouraging people to like and share content. I will check in for growth in this area by early September, and I will judge the effectiveness of this strategy by monitoring community voice, community progression, and social visits. The next goal that I have for Hartwood Hall is to be active in monitoring customer feedback. As I've mentioned already, the wedding industry is growing rapidly, and one of the very first things that potential customers look at are reviews on platforms such as The Knot, Wedding Wire, Facebook, and the company's own website. Getting brides and grooms to leave a review is really important, and it's not always easy, but what is said in their reviews is really, really important. I will accomplish this goal by emailing brides and grooms and asking them to leave reviews, and also offering them a Starbucks gift card as an incentive. I'll implement weekly check-ins of reviews as well as updating the reviews on the website periodically, as that is something that I do have control over. I will check in to see the progress by the beginning of July, and I will judge the effectiveness of this strategy by monitoring brand perception, evolution of interactions, and growth rate of interactions, the overall reputation score, and our response performance overall. The next goal that I have for Hartwood Hall is to convert social followers into leads. One of the most important roles that social media really plays is to be the middleman between the customer's introduction to the brand and the jump to make them press go in buying the product or booking the date. If Hartwood Hall had 50,000 followers, but not one of them felt urged by the content that they saw to book their wedding with us, then our social media content is truly not doing the job. One way that I aim to accomplish this goal is by producing compelling blog content. By sharing the blog content on Instagram and Facebook through links, people will be sent directly to the website. Getting potential customers to the website's homepage is truly a success in itself. From here, they can easily book a tour of the venue, read reviews, contact us, and really just peruse the website and see everything that Hartwood Hall has to offer them. We will start this, and I hope to see progress by August. Also, I will judge the effectiveness of this strategy by monitoring the number of leads that are coming directly from social media and by monitoring the overall growth of bookings from social media. The last goal that I have for Hartwood Hall is to increase engagement. Now, I know this sounds like a very general goal, but it's arguably the most important. Engagement is crucial for harboring a successful community, as well as bringing people within that community to action. The majority of the content shared by Hartwood Hall is organic, but there are sponsored ads that our ad agency creates monthly. I plan to increase the engagement rate among our followers by performing audits of our content from the past month and scheduling content a month out according to what content did well. I will also practice social listening and reviewing the content that did well and the content that did not do great to ensure engagement rates stay up. Along with planning posts in advance with content that they want to see, asking people to respond with something in the comments or to share the post will also increase visibility and engagement among our followers. When the post has lots of quality engagement, the algorithms work in our favor and more people are going to see our posts. I will judge the effectiveness of this strategy by monitoring the number of interactions across all of Hartwood Hall's platforms, as well as monitoring the evolution of interactions and the growth rate of interactions over a given time period. While working at Hartwood Hall, I've had many goals that I've wanted to accomplish. Over time, I've achieved many of these goals. To name a few, I have successfully created a social media calendar with scheduled posts for multiple weeks at a time. I've organized how to put together a marketing plan leading up to a big event. And I've seen our following grow tremendously. Since completing the social communication strategies class, I've been inspired to create a new list of goals and objectives to accomplish over hopefully a 6-month period. In my previous slide, I mentioned some of the goals that I'm hoping to accomplish while working at Hartwood Hall. Now I will go more in depth into what implementing those goals might look like through a timeline. One of the first objectives that I want to accomplish is to find the right audiences. I'll do this by researching our analytics and seeing who has been most active in Hartwood Hall's social community. Finding these different groups will be helpful in learning what they are interested in and what type of content they're wanting to see. I will do this by creating specific audience groups on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll keep record of them in a Google spreadsheet. This will ideally be done by the end of May, leaving plenty of time to know who to target with the other goals. Knowing this is crucial for staying relevant in the competitive wedding industry. The next goal that I want to accomplish is increasing engagement, because as we know, this will take a long time. Ultimately, this will be a standing goal throughout the plan, but it's important to start toward the beginning. I'll start this by auditing our social media accounts and building a monthly calendar of upcoming content that our audience truly wants to see. This can be done over the course of a week or so and should be finished by the end of May. While we're planning content, we'll start introducing the giveaways that Hartwood Hall has planned. These can be introduced mid-May, early June, just depending on what content is relevant at the time and how the audience is responding to changes. While all of these things are happening, there will need to be weekly check-ins to monitor customer feedback among many websites, like The Knot, Wedding Wire, Facebook, and the Hartwood Hall website. These will be done every week and evaluated to see how it is affecting the engagement and booking rates. All of the goals mentioned previously will help in converting social followers into leads for Hartwood Hall. Lastly, I will make posts once a week that urge people to visit the website. This might be introducing a new blog post, or asking the audience to book a tour, connecting it to the giveaways. By the end of this 6-month period, I'm going to sit down and reassess the effectiveness of implementing these goals and judge them based off of the initial audit that I'm going to do at the very beginning of setting all of these goals. After really researching content from all of Hartwood Hall's channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, there were really 3 primary audience segments that were obvious. With these observations, there were common themes that each of these audiences were typically attracted to. The first one is younger brides, ages roughly 18 to 27. This audience was found primarily on Instagram. They tend to like more photos that involved people. There was a pattern of them liking ceremony photos and first dance pictures. The content was typically bright and airy as opposed to the darker photos that Hartwood Hall does sometimes share on the feed. The next one is the older brides. Age range is 28 to 40. This audience was found on both Instagram and Facebook, but primarily on Instagram. The majority of photos that this audience tended to be attracted to were photos of decoration ideas like flowers, candles, greenery, tablescapes, and groups of people. This group engaged with many different types of content, honestly, light or dark, professional or more casual, it mattered less to them than the other groups. And the last one that I wanted to mention was mothers and other family members. This audience was found primarily on Facebook, but they also did have a presence on Instagram, depending on their age. Of all of the audiences, this group was definitely most active and engaging with Heartwood Hall's content. They respond less to photos of couples and more to photos with wedding inspiration, kind of like I mentioned before, such as photos of the property, reception photos, decoration ideas, pictures of food. They love commenting on our menu and our different decorations for our table. But those are the things that the three audience segments were generally attracted to. And lastly, I just wanted to mention a few of the challenges of the implementation of this plan. One of the challenges that I think might be huge is time. This will take a lot of time and dedication. However, with quarantine going on and people being homebound and also summer coming up, I think it will provide it with the time that I will need to get it together. The second one is that this plan might not work. The possibility of these goals not being completed is a possibility. It's a weird time in the world right now, and the statistics on Rival IQ for Heartwood Hall and the other companies in the landscape are changing constantly, and ultimately things might need to be adjusted to this plan. Another challenge could be budget. While not many of the goals in this plan require money, creating a high engaging atmosphere with only an organic reach might prove to be a bigger challenge. And the last one that I wanted to mention was lack of response. Many parts of this plan rely heavily on high engagement and participation from the audience. If couples don't leave reviews and potential customers choose to not engage with the content, there truly will be nothing to monitor, so it'll be really difficult to see if this plan accomplished what I had hoped to accomplish when setting out my goals, or if it really missed the mark. Lastly, I just wanted to say thank you for listening. I know this was long, but I truly have learned so much about my focus company, Heartwood Hall, and the landscape. I've learned a lot about the significance of monitoring other companies and knowing who your competitors are and what they're doing. Um, I've learned a lot about social media marketing and how to be a successful decision maker. Um, and I wanted to say thank you, and I hope you are doing well. Have a great day.